guys and gals? Nary here from Drakewing Game. Somebody on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Undefeated. So, y'all, let's go ahead and just jump right back into it, shall we? Last episode, we met Coach Bucky and found out some guys in the gym are into some very unsavory things. So let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm Chan, you are up, and let's go. Okay. He extends his paw and made it with my own hand. Buck or Bucky? The kangaroo gives a short chuckle. My rule is that it's either Coach, Bucky, or both. Anything else and it's 100 push-ups. And Redline? Another laugh, this time a little louder. He reaches out and ruffles Redline's hair. This pup's done his fair share of payment, and then some. Can't seem to break the habit, so he just ends up doing a little more work in the gym. Redline, whose tail is going nuts at this point, leans into the paw with a goofy smile strewn across his face. Yes, sir. Plus it helps build more muscle, so why wouldn't I take the opportunity? I ought to up my rates if that's your rationale, Red. Aw, but what, you don't think I can pay up? Bucky smiles. And what if you can't? His eyes have some sort of sinister hue to them, their shape narrowing down at the hyena. Redline, however, has his eyes wide open. Name your price. Name your price, Buck. The hyena was standing on his tiptoes to get closer to the kangaroo's face. Bucky simply leered down, still smiling. Next time you fumble the name, 20 minutes on the jump rope. You're on. Buck. The two nearly have their noses pressing against each other. They're still smiling, though, so it can't be genuine taunting. Still, this is either the worst matched face-off I've seen or the closest I've ever been to a really specific porno. I look forward to seeing it tomorrow, Red. I'll be keeping track. Bucky's voice had a bit of a lilt at that last sentence, giving off his teasing intent. The two separated with laughter, with Bucky's hand moving up to ruffle Redline's hair as he turned to me. And you? I shake myself back in the conversation now that I've been addressed. Huh? Well, you'll be joining us in class tomorrow, too. Bucky's voice is cheery, almost hopeful that I'll be present. I give a half-hearted shrug and gesture to my right shoulder. Not sure if you saw my fight the other day, but got a dislocated shoulder, so I've got physical therapy in the morning. The kangaroo nods in understanding. A few more men walk down the hall, patting Bucky on his back. He greets them in passing before looking at me again. I'm sorry to hear. As much as we'd love to put you to work, we can't have a fighter with a busted arm. You rest up until you're cleared, and we'll get you right back up to speed, alright? His paw bumps Redline's backside, and he nods to us both. But I've got to head out. You two have a good night, yeah? With a short hop that turns into a trot, Bucky jogs down the hall toward his cluster of friends. I watch him go and turn back to Redline. The smell of the weight rooms is still very fresh, as people are still trickling out. Probably finishing the routine for the night before heading down to the cafeteria. He starts moving forward, and I follow suit subconsciously. What'd you think of Bucky? Bucky was nice. It is pretty nice to meet someone that's not talking down to me, someone that hasn't really tried to insult me, yet. Though I don't think Redline or Drayden intended to come across as offensive, so maybe I shouldn't be so hard on them. Hopefully they can learn to think before they speak. He's alright. Is he hard on you guys? Redline lets out a cheery laugh. Of course! I'm not really adverse to working hard, but the way he confirmed that already has me feeling exhausted. But hey, now I can do 100 push-ups without breaking a sweat, so I'd say it's worth it, right? I can't really argue with that. I haven't seen the results myself, but that sounds like what a good trainer should do. Maybe it's just the thought of working with my damaged arm, but I'm not sure I'm looking forward to the next class. I'll have to make sure I don't mix up his name. Should be an issue, but with how casually Redline throws it out, it's almost like he does it on purpose. Some sort of masochistic exercise routine. He chats at me for a bit as we walk through the growing sea of sweaty men before reaching the end of the hall. There's a number of closed wooden doors lined across the wall. To our right, a staircase, and to our left, a short hallway. A heavy chlorine scent wafted from that direction, so I'm guessing that's the pool! He points down the hall. It's that way, so I'm not sure how much of a swimmer you are. Not too often. He cocks his head. Aw, really? Any reason why? I shrug. Just never been a fan. There aren't bad swimmers by any stretch, but it's never really been something I've taken to. It's like running, but with heavy equipment on, and I could just be doing that instead of having to keep my head above water. You're missing out! I love a good swim after a heavy day in the gym. Water rinses all the sweat out and clears my mind. And they have a hoop and a beach ball in there, so it's nice to dunk on some of the other guys in the water basketball. Can you actually do a slam dunk? He fidgets for a second before a nervous giggle is forced out. I mean, I don't actually dunk the ball. I'm not tall enough, but I'd like to think I'll get there someday. Someday, Redline. I gestured to the series of doors. There's a weird kind of lighting focused against the wall. It's almost like it's trying to draw attention to itself. And this? More gyms? Nope, this is the entertainment wing. Well, they call it the enrichment center, but that makes it sound like we're lab rats. It gives me a bit of a non-committal hand wave, accompanied by a high-pitched sound of confusion. I was gonna say animals, but yeah, basically. A weirdly sterile name for a place like this, but maybe it's just to sound impressive. Redline's already gone ahead to the entrance of the wing, so I follow suit. It's a library. Enrichment Center is a pretty pretentious name for a normal-looking library. Redline's standing with his hands on his hips, smiling wide as ever. What do you think? I feel so enriched. His laugh jumps out at me. I should be used to how sudden it can be, but it must be more surprising than the silence of the library. The rest of the people sitting around reading must have also not expected the sudden laughter, judging by the generally angry looks on their faces. It's definitely not as stocked as your standard library, but it's got a lot of non-fiction stuff. Like history books? He tilts his head. No, more like self-help. You know, learning books, books that you learn from, textbooks and stuff. Looking around, there are a lot of people reading at tables. A few of them have some notebooks out, scribbling down notes, having some quiet discussion amongst themselves. I follow Redline as he moves out of the library, passing by the raccoon fellow I saw earlier. He's got some sort of art tutorial book open next to a notebook, scribbles strewn across one page. We go through a door opposite from the pool that leads down a unique-looking hallway. Modern architecture, pretty impressive lighting. It stands out from the rest of the facility so far. At the end of the hall is a grand-looking steel door that looks like it was designed to blend into the wall. There's a black panel on the wall to the right side. Redline steps up to it, tapping the LED screen to life. Okay, cool. It looks like it's free for a few hours. Another few taps and the door slides open. Oh, nice, pretty area. The bright light burns my eyes before I have the chance to turn away. Once I manage to adjust, Redline leads me through the open door onto a giant deck hanging over a beach. Behind us, a sun shines down, filling the space with glorious light. I barely notice the change in temperature, but I can tell it's a bit warmer in here with the way my shirt gently sticks to my body. This is the immersion chamber. My hand grips the railing, tracing along it as I move the length of the deck. My eyes close and I take a moment to breathe in the salty air. A cool breeze flitters past, my ears twitching from its influence. The sound of the waves crashing against the shore, the warmth of the sun on my fur, I try to soak it in for as long as I can. Pretty cool, huh? It's beautiful. It's alright. I don't remember seeing anything like this in the promo material or contract or anything really. Redline's already moved up next to me, hands on the railing as he looks out over the sea. Yeah, well, so this area is kind of reserved for higher tier fighters. We're not really supposed to be here, I frown. It's okay, as long as no one's booked it, people don't really mind if I'm here. But yeah, people will host parties or post-fight celebrations or whatever really in here. Sometimes they'll invite me. It's pretty cool. They even decorate it for the holidays and stuff too. How does this work? We're underground. He moves backwards toward the door. There's a black panel along the wall on the inside of the room too. That's right, so this screen controls basically the whole room. Time of day, temperature, wind, tide, you name it. But when the simulation is off, with a few taps the sunlight fades. Actually the whole skyline disappears, replaced with a dull white light. The waves still turn still, resting calmly against the sand. There's no more wind, and the heat has started to turn into the familiar temperature that's shared with the rest of the facility. I can feel my heart sink a little as everything turns sterile. Quiet is nice, but for a few seconds it's deafening silence. As quickly as the scenery had vanished, it returns, the sound of the waves splashing once more flowing through the air. And, like I said, the time of day. Oh! That's pretty awesome, actually. A few seconds pass and the sun dips below the horizon. With it, a fake moon rises on the opposite end of the room. So it's not real. Redline moves back to where he was before, standing next to me along the railing. Well, no, like you said, we're really far underground. Kind of hard to get any real sunlight down here, but it does a good job of imitating it. You could probably get a tan if you stayed out long enough. I've been trying to block Redline out as he spoke. My eyes close and I take in the ocean air again. The cool breeze, the salty scent, the sound of the waves. None of this is real. I will say, it's missing something. He has a really good habit of breaking my concentration. I can't really put my finger on it, but it's just uncanny enough to bother me. I miss the real thing, too. But hey, the view is nice, right? I look out at the fabricated sea. Yeah. That is kind of creepy. We stay there for a while. That night, I dream of the ocean. Alright. Alright, go ahead and pull. My hand wraps around an elastic band, pulling it gently across my chest, and then returning it returning it back to the side. I repeat this motion a few times, with Drayden holding the other end of the band. How's your shoulder feel? Fine, actually. He takes a sip of his coffee and winces. It smells really sweet. Ow, hot! Oh, that's good! You said it was giving you some trouble yesterday. Yeah, it was aching a bit, but I think it was caused by other stuff. What happened? Nothing, just... Bruce did assault me, but I'd rather not bring that up. It's hard to think of an excuse when I'm put on the spot. I could just use Redline as a scapegoat, right? Redline got excited and yanked me around all over the place. He chokes up a laugh in his coffee. That'll do it. I'd have hoped he'd be a little more careful, knowing your situation, but you can't really do much about him once he gets excited. I know how that goes. He tried to talk my ear off one time, the one time we went. The one time we met. But, yeah, be careful with that one. You don't need to tell me. Another small laugh from the feline as he takes another sip before setting the coffee to the side. He moves behind me, holding my shoulder gently. It's like he's handling some fragile artifact. Can you squeeze your shoulder blades together for me? I follow suit. It's actually a nice stretch back there. I should do this more often. Drayden tilts his head to my left, giving an even better stretch along the right side of my neck. Very good. Any pain at all? Nope. Good. He comes back around to my front, scribbling something down on his clipboard. So, how was your first day? Aside from Red nearly breaking your arm, I mean. I'm trying not to think about a lot of what happened yesterday. Fine. That's all I really want to say. There's a bit of silence where Drayden just sort of smiles at me. He takes a drink from his cup of coffee. I guess he's expecting more. Redline showed me around a bit, and I met a coach. He was halfway through his drink, but he stopped when I mentioned the coach. Thank you for reminding me. Since I'm discharging you fully today, I've got your coach assignment. Assignment? Drayden nods, flipping a bit through his clipboard. It's just to get you acquainted with how we work down here. You're free to choose different coaches once you make some progress, but it's a good idea to stick with the same one for a bit. I can't really contest that. Coaches work best when they know how their fighters work. The more a fighter changes coaches, the more time the coach has to spend finding the fighter's limits and capabilities. It's kind of a waste of time that you could use training to get stronger. Looks like you've got Coach Bucky. Bucky? Yep, he's a big kangaroo fella. Well, that's a nice coincidence. No, I know. Redline actually introduced us last night. Oh, great! I got more of his students sent my way than from any of the other coaches, so he must be working them hard. Either that or they aren't learning to dodge too well. Drayden laughs a bit. There's a beat of silence. Don't tell him I said that. My lips are sealed. He laughs gently and taps his pen on his clipboard. I appreciate it. I don't think he'd really do anything about it, but I'd rather not get on his bad side. Things are a lot easier when people get along. Especially down here, cooped up in this facility. It can really drive men to do some weird stuff, you know? Cabin fever and all that. Can't help but glare at him. Cabin fever is usually pretty intense, right? I think I saw a movie about it once. Isn't that dangerous? He tilts his head, thinking for a moment. I might have been exaggerating a bit when I said that, but, I mean, yes, it can be dangerous, but I don't think anyone down here is capable of going insane. Maybe just a bit stir-crazy, that's all. I suppose that's why they give you vacation time. Get off my screen, Spit. Okay. Vacation time? They give us vacation time? Yep, didn't anyone tell you? I suppose you were in a med bay for a lot longer than most would have been. It must have slipped through the cracks. Sorry about that. But yes, you're allowed a total 2 vacation days for every win you get. You can rack them up for enough time for a nice long trip. I can feel my ears fold down. I don't know why I would even want to leave, though. Not like there's anything waiting for me above ground. Drayden sort of pauses uncomfortably. Sorry, knowing your situation makes this all probably pretty depressing. I dart my eyes away. How are you feeling about that, by the way? My eyes narrow and my head drops slightly. I don't answer. I don't know how to answer. I know it seems impossible, but I know you can overcome this. Thanks. There's another moment of silence. He's probably trying to find a way to spin this into something positive. Can I talk to the commissioner? Drayden's face freezes up, with his eyes darting down to his clipboard. He starts to shimmy the pen from side to side in his fingers, almost like a nervous tick. I'll see what I can do. I wish he'd at least look me in the eyes. I don't say this to discourage you or anything, but it's really hard to get a hold of the commissioner. It would be a good idea to focus on your training right now. He sighs, waiting a second before scribbling something out on another sheet of his clipboard. But I'll do what I can. Thanks. There's a bit more awkward silence between us. He probably feels bad, but I don't really know what I was expecting. I knew this before coming into this place. I'm the only one that controls what happens to me. Even with this unfortunate circumstance, I have to persevere. There's no point in hoping other people can save me now. So, I look back up at Drayden. Sorry, He clears his throat. This will get figured out. We'll get this figured out. It has to get figured out, one way or the other. Thanks. Drayden gives a pleasant smile, scribbling something down in his notebook. Well, if there's nothing else I can help with, I'd say you're free to go. You can start training, too. Just be careful, you know. Your ligaments are still newly recovered. No point in breaking them again so soon. I make my way to the door. Right. I'll do my best. That's all we can do, Alex. I twitch slightly at hearing that name. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Thanks. I don't really feel bad that I left the medbay in a bit of a huff. Not just the name thing. I could tell him to call me Zander, but he probably wouldn't bother. I'll still just be Alex to him. Drayden doesn't need to hear about everything that goes on outside my medical emergencies. Complaining never got anyone anywhere. Except it literally did! The only thing that gets shit done is action. Granted, my actions are limited at the moment, but running to Drayden when I get pushed around won't fix this. I'll just look like a little kid running to their mommy in the playground. We're adults, even if Bruce acts like a brat, and even if Redline can be childish. Whatever. This will get solved eventually. I can either win or I lose until I die. Drayden was right about one thing. I need to focus on my training. After I left his office, I went straight back to my room, changed into some gym clothes, and made my way down to the gym. Redline was gone, off having breakfast probably. I already had mine before physio. I will say, walking around without an escort is still a little bit strange. Not that I miss Redline or anything like that. I enjoy being alone. I just can't shake the feeling that someone is watching me. Like, I have to watch my step or I'll do something I'm not supposed to. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Leave a super thanks for a tip if you can. It always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!